This is Goku Sun DBZ, and this is my review for Google Stadia. Now, first off, I want to say from Google Stadia, honestly, it is a really good product. I have to be honest. I personally have not had any overall negative opinions on anything, but that's just me. Now, keep in mind, everybody is going to be different. One of the biggest, I feel, contributing factors is the fact that you have to keep in mind internet is absolutely number one key to the quality of your internet when it comes to Google Stadia, given that is, after all, what Google Stadia revolves around is internet service. That is the number one key to keep in mind if you're going to get into buying Google Stadia. You have to keep this mentality and you have to keep this in mind. You have to have good, fast speed internet. You are definitely going to have an issue in that area, specifically if you live in like a really crowded city, keep in mind, with lots and lots of people on internet constantly, especially say in the same building as you. Now, if you don't, that won't slow down quite as much. But also keep in mind that along with that, that is one of the biggest elements to definitely speeds as well as the quality of your internet provider. Now, for me, of course, I use Xfinity, aka Comcast internet, which actually is the best quality internet where I live. I mean, your only other choices are definitely downgrades like Sudden Link. I'm trying to think who else. Frontier Wireless, and then there's Dish Network and DirecTV. Now, not too far from me, there's also the option of Charter Communications. But where I live, the only really good quality is Comcast. Now, regardless of how you may feel towards Comcast as a company, you are going to get pretty good quality service. Now, if you strictly, like me, go for strictly internet and that is it, not including cable and all that garbage extra money that'll cost you, then you're good. The other key in mind thing, if you want good quality internet, besides having a decent package, get so many megabits per second, because I upgraded prior to getting this service. I upgraded what I previously had, which was I think 150 megabits per second. Now, that's only if you have it connected. Now, if it was strictly Wi-Fi only, on average, I could only get maybe 40, 50 megabits per second through regular Wi-Fi. Now, with the newer package, like I upgraded to, I can now, through Ethernet, get a 400 megabits per second, and average Wi-Fi is about probably about 150 megabits per second. So I, needless to say, have really fast, good speeds. That is key to Google Stadia, as I want to state and make it quite clear in my basic information review, giving you basic fundamentals to how you're going to have the best overall experience with the best quality gameplay. The key number one first contributing factor is internet speeds. This is the number one most important thing to Google Stadia. If you don't have great, really good internet speed, good Wi-Fi and everything, then pretty much you might as well forget about getting Google Stadia. I'm just being real and I'm being 100% honest. I'm not going to be some biased person that completely bows before Google. Nor am I going to be somebody who's going to bash just because they feel it's cool to bash Google, or because of some blind fanboy mentality loyalty to some other company, whether it be Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo. I don't have this mindless fanboy mentality like most people. I keep my mind open when it comes to trying out new game experiences. And I'm willing to try anything at least once. That's my mentality for life in general. But with Google Stadia, that is the number one key thing to keep in mind. If you want Google Stadia, you must have good internet. Two, just quickly before we get into the actual gameplay elements and everything, you should know that one key thing is also, of course, you will have to download, if you don't already have download, 2 apps on your phone or tablet or Chromebook or whatever. You will have to have 2. First, in order to finish the total digital setup, in order to use your controller, and in order to use with your Chromecast Ultra, which you plug in, of course, with the HDMI cord. And this part is then connected to obviously your power, and then at the end of the power thing is a plug-in thing that you can plug your Ethernet cord into. But you have to keep that in mind when it comes to the Chrome. 2 apps you will have to have. You will have to have Google Home app to do part of the setup. Of course, 2, mandatory as well, you will have to download the Stadia app. And it's all available on both, I believe, on both the Google Play Store and as well as on the Apple App Store. So, yeah, you will have to download both of these. Now, if you have an Android phone like myself, you already probably had Google Home already pre-downloaded on your phone. Now, in the case for Apple owners, you will have to, of course, download the Google Home Store if it's available. If not, maybe it's done through a different process. I'm not sure since I use Android devices anyways, with also a Chromebook and things. So everything I have pretty much it automatically runs off of the Chrome operating system in any case. But these are just a few contributing factors to keep in mind. Also, along with it, the internet being, of course, key number 1, given it is a streaming console, after all. Now, technically, it's not really an actual console, per se. It is a Chromecast Ultra, along with a Bluetooth controller. And one thing I will want to say quickly in my review about this controller is it's actually really good quality made. It's better made, I think, overall strength and well built, put together, better than I think a lot of regular game console controllers nowadays. I can actually tell that Google put a lot of time and effort into the design and implementation process of the actual Google Stadia controller. So I give a lot of points to where it's due to Google for the design of their controller. They chose a design, sort of a mix, I guess you could say, between like the Xbox One or 360 controller mixed a little bit with elements of course, the PlayStation controller. Now, design-wise, it's actually quite similar to that of the Nintendo, Wii U or Nintendo Switch Pro controller. It's very similar in design to that. The quality of this is definitely good. I will say, one thing I want to say is I love the joysticks. The thumbsticks are really good. Given I have played now Destiny 2, I will say these joysticks work perfectly on Destiny. I am actually really impressed at how good my gameplay experience was with Destiny. It was better than my experience with Samurai Showdown. And I thought Samurai Showdown, for the most part, was good. I thought there was a few elements, lag for some reason with the button, the response time from pressing the button to actual implementation in the actual game. But with that said, still overall, it's pretty good. I tried a couple of online matches on it, and surprisingly, for the most part, it ran pretty smoothly. I would say it ran really not much different than what it runs like on my PS4, in all honesty. it runs just as good for the most part. Like I said, a couple of maybe lag issues here and there with the buttons. That's about it for Samurai Showdown that I experienced. I experienced zero lag at all on Destiny 2, and I'm stunned at how well Destiny plays on this. I mean, seriously, there are moments you're playing Destiny 2 on this, it didn't even hit me that the entire game is just being streamed straight through the Google Fiber network. It's ridiculous. It plays so smooth and consistent, at least my experience, that frankly, I really see the potential in this new platform. Honestly, I think Google is knocking it out of the park, even though we're still within the first week of its launch. I will say, definitely, I think there's a bright future for Google Stadia. But the key is whether or not people are willing to give Stadia a chance. This is the key element. I've seen YouTubers, fellow gaming YouTubers, bashing it and stuff, but I think it's more to do with the biased fanboy mentality, or maybe they don't have as good overall internet as I do. I'm not quite sure. I don't see how, because some of them make way more money than I do. I mean, I don't make any money off of YouTube, so just for having a regular full-time job. But with that said, like, specifically though, I want to say one thing to one particular gaming YouTuber quickly before I finish up this. Dreamcast guy, you seem very, very biased in your viewpoint on stuff on Google Stadia, on some specifics that you state on things. You try to come across as a non-biased person, like myself, but you do allow your obvious hardcore mentality to show through the way you review some of your games and things. And I feel that's not good. If you want to give a solid, well-balanced review, you can't have that like mentality of one platform over another. I get it, you and many other YouTube gaming YouTubers and stuff don't like the idea of a streaming console. I mean, it is true, there are negatives, in all honesty. Negatives are you won't, even though you buy a digital game, you won't truly own the game, the IP. It'll technically, because it requires a server in order to run the game, since it's all streamed. There's no hard drive or anything. But regardless of how much, unfortunately, may not like the idea, unfortunately, though, let's be honest, companies like EA and others really like this idea, though they want to do it through their own service like EA All Access and stuff. But I think if companies like Google, Microsoft, and others, and I think Microsoft realizes the potential of this. That's why they're really going in on the xCloud service. But I think for being really the first step in this new technology, in this new era or future era of gaming, I think for really the first step in this new gaming environment, Google Stadia knocks it out of the park, in my opinion, in all honesty. And this comes from somebody who has now been playing on and off and stuff Google Stadia for about 5-6 days now. Plus, I had at least one full day to do nothing but trying the games and stuff, specifically putting in time on Destiny, and also playing a little bit so far of Guilt. That review will be coming up soon, and I'm looking forward to my review of Guilt. It's a good game, seriously. It's a good console exclusive. Is it necessarily a good enough game to justify purchasing this? Probably not, but as somebody who loves the indie style games and stuff, especially given it has heavy inspiration from other games like Little Nightmares, Inside, Limbo, as I mentioned before, there's even some elements in the game that kind of remind me of well, at least gameplay aspects of non games and stuff, non-horror games like Rhyme actually, which is no surprise. The same company that made Rhyme was involved in the making of Guilt, so it's no surprise to me on that. But with that said, overall, on my grading scale review of this, I have to give Google Stadia honestly an A plus for my personal experience. I really think this is a solid console, or not console, but streaming device. I think the controller is very well constructed. You could tell that Google put a lot of time and effort into this. The thumbsticks are superb. I think the Bluetooth like interaction and everything, and the fact if you don't want to do that part, you want to say do a laptop or some, you can plug in a USB plug here and attach it to a USB plug-in in your laptop and play like that if you don't want to do over a Chromecast Ultra. You don't have to. You can do that. So keep that in mind. There's many different ways to play. Now, unfortunately, if you want to play on a cell phone right now, you're not really going to be able to do that unless you have a Pixel phone for the moment, because they haven't really got everything up and running yet. Keep in mind for all the multi-platforms of playing, because we are still in the very beginning of the Google Stadia's lifespan. We're basically still in beta mode really right now of the launch. Many more games to come within the next month to the Stadia market. Honestly, I think it's really good. And one, I was also surprised when I got 2 free games with it digitally, of course. Getting Samurai Showdown and Destiny 2 was pretty nice. And yeah, I actually went out of my way and bought, out of my own pocket, Guilt for $30. Just to show that I was willing to give this new platform a shot. And honestly, I have nothing but positive to say from my own experience. Keep in mind, many people are going to have different mentalities. Not everyone's going to be as open-minded to the new platform and new technology. But I was somebody that was willing to embrace it with open arms. I was willing to give it a shot. And honestly, I ended up pleasantly surprised and ended up enjoying it a lot more than I thought it was going to. Well, with that said, I'll get ready to cut up this video and review for Google Stadia. So, with that said, leave a comment below and tell me what your thoughts are. If you're thinking about getting Google Stadia, if you do, like I said, make sure that you have good quality speed internet, because you're not going to be able to really play games solid overall unless you have the good infrastructure, if you will, digital infrastructure in order to play those games. You have to have the proper tools necessary in order for it to be implemented correctly and for a good stability. These are key elements that I think a lot of reviewers, it's gone over their heads on. Plus, I don't think they were willing to experience this with open minds in the first place. But if I ended up convincing you maybe to check it out, I'm glad at least I could convince somebody to try it out, because it is really worth your time. It is a fun experience, and Guilt is definitely a game I highly recommend you pick up if you get Stadia. It would probably be my #1 recommendation, given it is an exclusive to the platform. But with that said, I'll see everyone next time, same YouTube time, same YouTube channel, and stay tuned for my upcoming Stadia game exclusive review, of course, of Guilt. I'll see you then. I hope you enjoyed the music in the background from, of course, none other than Mirror's Edge Catalyst. Anyways, I'll see you then.